how was that? Like, how did you adapt to America? Were you surprised when you first came to America? You know, how was that? Talk to me.
So I'm sure a lot of the folks that are logging in here and have similar experiences. My family came just before I was born, what your boy Donald Trump and others might call anchor babies. Since my family, especially my mom and grandma, knew that no matter what happened in Colombia, we'd be better off over here. It's mostly true. I think that's the supposed American dream. It could also, there's nightmares to that dream, but for the most part, that's a lived experience. And I think, I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. Like, there's beauty and prosperity in this country, but there's also misery and loneliness here as well. I think it plays out no matter what background you have. I think especially the more isms you see in this world, racism, sexism, homophobia, it's a human condition, you know, brother? I mean, I see what's happening now in Haiti. I know your love, BB's from there. That's something that if we were real humans, we wouldn't allow that to happen. You know, those are brothers and sisters. So that's part of the reason that the work that I do, mostly for my family, how I was raised between Colombia and the US, but also knowing that my family story is one of many. And ideally, like your kids and my nieces will be the ones that inherit all that good, hopefully in the future.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So, I mean, what did you have to go through for healing? Was it a healing process with you on your way growing up? Was it a lot? You know, what was your remedy for healing and your process, right?
I'll answer that question. I'll give you a little more juice that I didn't give on that first question you asked me.
Right.
I think the reality is, and I think that's only that you can only learn from hindsight, from looking at your past and recognizing patterns, why things are the way they are. So in this life, I grew up with my mom, my grandma, and my sister, and surrounded by strong women, shall call her women. And now, as a 40-year-old man, I recognize how much of a blessing that was. Now having nieces that are 7, 5, 3, and going to be 1 year. Again, all girls, all my cousins are female. That of my family of 15 people, 2 of the men are husbands. They're both Mexican. They're both named Juan. And people joke that I got to marry a Mexicana named Juana just to keep the tradition alive.
No, you did. Oh my goodness.
And I'm the only damn boy and the oldest. So it's a big responsibility. And, you know, Latin American culture very much spoils men, spoils boys. So I think it's recognizing my own bullshit, to keep it quite honest, making sure that I do my best and being thoughtful, being considerate, not being the machista that is very easy to do, no matter what culture you're from. And so the healing part, I think, is some of that, brother. It's recognizing that there are people watching, and you as a father know this. They may not say anything, but the example that you lead by is really your legacy here. And I think that plays out in our communities, immigrant communities, plays out certainly in Colombia. There's an expression that we have that's called El vivo vive del bobo. And literally it means the lively one lives off of the dumb one. Basically, it's hustle. And some of me abides by that. I think we wouldn't get very far in this life, in this country, if we didn't know how to hustle. But never stepping on somebody else, not at the expense of someone else. And I think that's very true, particularly now in these times where everyone feels like they're looking out for themselves, whether because of COVID or because of tough economic times. And, you know, politically, this country is very divided, no matter what your perspective might be. Everyone's kind of going back to their own tribe. You know, what's in it for me? Like, he doesn't look like me, she doesn't talk like me, they wear different colors. And, I mean, Jeffrey, we're all the same damn tribe, you know? And I can close with this to let you ask some more questions. When the pandemic first hit, March 2020, and I mean, everyone was scared. We didn't know what the hell was going on. My grandma and I were planning a trip. She had just suspended her cancer treatment. we were going to go visit the Holy Land. She wanted to go ask for her God's blessing, and the trip was canceled. And I thought, maybe this is what we've been hoping for, that it's not going to be Martians, aliens that are going to invade the U.S. and invade the planet Earth and have us bond together as humans. It's going to be a virus. This disease is going to have us connect, recognize that we're not our enemies. We're actually brother and sister and in between. And I think we lasted like that for maybe 6-9 months, looking out for each other, wearing masks. Dolphins were in the canals of Venice. Like, new things were blossoming in the world. We thought, like, damn, this planet is healing itself. But we see the reality now. It didn't take very long for us to get right back to where we started, being, creating trash with all these masks, blaming each other, blaming China, blaming the politicians, blaming our neighbors. And that's kind of the call to action, is to recognize that we have to be a little more intentional, a little more thoughtful, a little more forgiving, since this human experiment is going to always end up in death. We're not here very long, so we might as well make the most of it.
Too deep. So, okay, so boom, let's do, this is a definitely a show of investments, right? So my question is very relevant. With all that going on, and all that and 40 years old, and all that's going on in the world right now, how do you invest in your community? And I want to hear from you, right? Because like a lot of people can see you if they don't know, those who don't know, Camilo invests a lot in his community, right? In different ways. But I want to hear from you, like, how do you, when you look at yourself, or when you say it, or you explain it, which hopefully you're going to do it right now, how do you invest in your community?
So, brother, I think there's various levels of resources, of richness. I think the older that we all get, the more time goes by, the more we realize that the ultimate wealth really is the human resource, is the feeling that our human connections, that social capital really is what has most value. It may not be celebrated, it's cash money usually speaks louder than that. But I think fundamentally one has to have that human resource, whether it be, a homegirl, a homeboy, your family, those loved ones, those friends. That, in that sense, I feel very rich and I feel very fortunate, very, very grateful. Present company included, even those of you that I don't know on this Instagram Live, obviously you care about similar values. So that investment is how one takes care of those loved ones, whether it be looking out for their health. As I mentioned, my grandma is my closest friend here, my closest person in this world. Along with my partner, they all went out to get manicures for a wedding happening this weekend. That's simply being looking out for them. That's one investment.
That's one, yeah.
Now more concretely, and that's something that we tend to overlook, and frankly, investing in our own health too, mental health, physical health. I don't think our communities talk about that as much. I think we're getting better at that, particularly after Black Lives Matter, and having that sense of, we got to make sure we eat healthy, we rest, right. We check in with our bodies. So if we don't have that, then we don't have anything. Third, the community investment, brother, I always see it as that one can do well. By well, I mean economically, by also doing good. And that sounds kind of played out, like, I think it's being kind of cliche.
That sounds good. One can do well by doing good, right?
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like, you'll see some companies, I've seen them, like, I won't name any names and give them free publicity, but you'll see that it's kind of hip to be sustainable. Like, you buy 100 pairs of our shoes and we'll give 6 cents to some starving child in Central Africa. And like, that's cool. That sounds nice, but like, are we really rearranging any real dynamics here? Like,
right, really changing the game.
So that's, in my sense of what investments really are, ideally something that will last beyond our time here. We're, like I said, our time here is brief. Whether it be, I think community investment is education, no question. It's
true.
It's better to and what's the expression? It's better to die standing than to something about like a bent back. I should have had that.
Oh, okay.
Something-
Oh,
That's
yeah.
some quote.
We get it though.
But then an educated person, you may be able to abuse them physically, but you cannot steal what they have inside. You know, that sense of self, which is the last point I'll say. That once we know where we come from, who we are, why we're worthy of love, of respect,
Cool. Oh man, cool.
of winning that grant, of getting that degree, then we become unstoppable. That's, I think, the older that we all get, the more time goes by, the more we realize that the ultimate wealth really is the human resource, is the of better pay, of winning that grant, of getting that degree. Then we become unstoppable. That's really what investment for me is empowerment, to know that maybe I want to be the first damn dentist in my family. That was my auntie's story. She was visiting from Colombia. I've forgotten. No regrets for her, but she got pregnant younger than she wanted. She wanted to be a dentist. She always had that dream. Maybe she had a little more education and maybe laid off a couple of years before. She's still happily married. All that's good. But, that since we only got really one shot, the idea if we can invest in our community by having each of us fulfill our potential, making sure that we do what really is our dream first before worrying about what society expects, what other people might be expecting of us. And I think with a lot of our communities, immigrant communities, we feel very beholden to our family, like we got to provide, we came here to this country for a certain reason. That's all good. Don't never lose sight of that. That's a blessing. That keeps us kind of oriented north always. But we can be a little bit forgiving of ourselves too. Know that if we do, and I've told this to my mom when I was in college. I went to college here in California, and I thought I was going to do international business. I was convinced, that's the whole point of us coming here, is to make a lot of money, and not just buy my mom a house, but maybe get her a couple of cars, maybe a plane if she really wanted one. And I went to my first business class, Business 16, in a place called Wheeler Hall. It's in Berkeley, California. And I saw the dude up there talking. I thought, okay, a little chubby white dude, but all right, maybe he's interesting. I sat next to my classmates in this big lecture hall. All right, maybe they're cool. Let's not judge books by their covers.
Right.
Then
You better not.
we start doing the reading. I'm thinking like, maybe I don't like this. I stuck through it. I didn't just judge based on that. I stuck through for maybe like before the drop period, like maybe 6 weeks in. And I realized I couldn't fake it. Like I like the idea of having the knowledge, but did I want to be that person? I ended up studying sociology, which my mom asked me, how the hell are you going to eat with that?
Yeah.
Fair question.
But hold on, but Camille, didn't you become a lawyer? No?
Well, that's why you can't call the kettle black, or you can't.
Come on now.
Can't be throwing the stones at glass houses. So I realized that I love sociology. I love studying the problems of other people, our own people. I told my mom, it's like, I'm not sure how I'm going to eat with that either, but what I do know, mommy, is that if you do what you love, you'll be good at it. And if you're good at what you do, someone's going to want to pay you to do it. Now, even now, 20 years there, this sounds kind of naive, but that's how it came to the law. I was doing organizing, community education,
right.
And I enjoyed it. And I realized that we need a little more hands on the levers of power. And that's where the law came around. And not that I love law. I mean, I'm glad I'm a lawyer, but those are just a belt. It doesn't change who I am as the person. It just gives me a little more weapons to fight the fight.
Cool. Oh man, cool. So I mean, a lot that you said as far as like all the what investments mean to you and all the things you're speaking of it seems like that's a lot for the youth. Like that, if we knew those things, or if we had those morals set, or those goals set, or that mind frame set when we were younger, it would have been astronomical. Now we would have been so far. It seems like those what you're saying is teachings for the kids. Do you do that for the kids? Is that why so many kids are around you, and do you do that?
I think that's ultimately our secret weapon.
Those
That's
kids.
really like our prime resource, yeah. And because if I mean that's ultimately our legacy. Like most of us humans like to reproduce. It's kind of the way we see ourselves in the future. We become immortal through our kids, our grandkids.
Right.
I've made the conscious choice to not make that mistake, but it's in part is the idea that one, this world's kind of scary. You know, I have four little nieces, and I fear that this world is not worthy of them. You being a papa and you being a mama, I'm sure you all worry about that too. This place can be kind of a unwelcoming place. Our investment, I'll speak personally, my investment is making sure that these young kids really believe in where they come from and who they are. That if this skinny fool with long hair can live happy and not kind of live the same life that we were told that everyone has to live, you know, that
Right.
you got to go to college, graduate, get into debt to go to school, try to work as many jobs as you can to pay off the debt, and then you better find somebody you love soon, because then you're going to get old, fat, and ugly, and no one's going to love you. And like a lot of, you know, there's the pressure to like satisfy what others expect. And when you look up, you look around, like no one else knows what the hell they're doing. We're all just kind of going along as we.
Yeah, no one has us too much.
Yeah, so I think being a little more gentle with each other, with others, and if we can start that early, so that these kids don't feel such a pressure to be anything other than who they are. And maybe this is something that to me was a lesson. And I'm still learning with this, which is good. You gotta stay around young people so that you stay honest too, so that you don't feel like your way is the only way.
Yeah, you go right. Ooh. Let me ask you a question. Amongst all the things you teach them too, do you love what you're saying? Do you teach them finance too, or is that like not right now because you know just kind of like live in the moment, like kind of like be a kid, you know, be a youth.
Well, depends on their age. I think finance at that age, I think means being accountable, knowing that it's small things like turn off the lights when you leave a room.
Come on, man.
It means,
come on now.
Like, do you really need to ask your mom for Starbucks in the morning? Or maybe you save it so you can maybe ask for that system you want for your birthday, or you know your mom or your dad or your family is on a budget. Like, how about we save that so we can do a nice little trip during spring break, or, you know, just not taking shit for granted, not taking things for granted in case there are kids watching. So that's finance. That's being, I mean, even small things that don't have to do with money, like making your bed when you leave.
It's preparation.
If you see trash on the ground, don't expect someone else to pick it up.
Come
pick
on
it up.
now.
Not just because it's right, but because someone else might see you do it and think like, wow, if this person can do it, then so should I. That I think builds the foundation of knowing how to be a wise investor, because you're investing not just money. And JF Investment, I know, is not just about investing money. It's about, I even see it on your website, it's about the upscale. It's about building leaders. It's about nurturing that sense of agency. Because if we have that feeling of there's something greater than us, that I'm doing this for someone other than me, then we won't have people that are looking out to benefit themselves. Business gets and I think sometimes justifiably so, business finance gets a bad rap about it being fat cats who simply want to fill their pockets and fly their jets and fuck everyone else. But frankly, if these entities, if these corporations, these businesses were run by folks who came from a more community-based background, a more immigrant mindset, that, you know, if I gain something, it's to break it up and share it with the rest of my community. I mean, to me, that's revolution, brother. That's changing the terms of how this game is played. And I mean, I say it from the side of always trying to find a way to fund the work that we're doing. It's not easy. It's easier to like try to find investment from someone that maybe doesn't believe in the way we do things, but better to be poor and happy than to be wealthy and insincere. So there's a way to do both. That's why I think we're both here. but it's something that needs to start while we're young.
I love it. I love it. There was a question, Camilo. Let's go to that question real quick. It said, that's BB Tax Connection. She said, if you want your taxes, BB Tax Connection, by the way. The question is, what are the age group of your organizations? What's the age group roundabout?
So when we started in Colombia, now 6 years ago, we started with children's books, and we were telling the stories of young people affected by violence, our own stories, and that age group was literacy age. So as long as you could read, which varies in Colombia, frankly, and these books ended up making it to the U.S. And now
it started in Colombia. So this started in Colombia and transitioned here. Wonderful.
Yeah, we snuck into the peace talks in Havana, Cuba, when the FARC was negotiating with the state. That's a story for another interview, when the CIA isn't watching us. And,
right.
And that's when we thought, like that. We thought, wow, so many people who are affected by this struggle who aren't here in these halls of power. We got to do our part to share these stories that weren't shared. So we start with those books. So those are young kids. But now with the workshops and the murals, now, like, even you, Jeffrey, you could be considered a youth.
Love it. Love it. So listen, I got some questions. We probably going to have to speed up on the questions and answers because you're saying so much and I'm thinking so fast. I'm like, man, I want to, so my question is this. So is Colombia a capitalist? It's a socialist country or a communist?
No, there's no socialist country nearby, but next door Venezuela, but that kind of went the wrong way. Colombia is very much a capitalist republic. The current president and vice president, a Afro-Colombiana, proud black woman, a personal friend of mine, somebody who I would go to bat with every time, go to bat for. The president has some controversy around him because he used to be part of a guerrilla. Been a politician longer than he was part of the guerrilla, but some folks, including me, people in my family, worry that, he used to be a socialist, was going to take the country down a hole of poverty and a misery. It's never that black and white. He has to negotiate. It is a republic. There's all kinds of horse trading that happens. Just like Biden can't change his country, or Bernie or whoever gets elected here can't change this country on his own. Neither can them over there. So
right,
there's no risk of that.
All right, so let me ask you a question. It's so much going on, right? And even as a youth, we go through things. As an adult, we go through things, and there's so much going on around us as well. Give me some advice on how to deal, from your experience, how to deal with trauma. I mean, from everything from the economy that's going on right now, everything from socially what's going on right now. People hearing bad news in media all the time and no good news. Little do they know, or little do we know, we're being, drained and from, just bad news storing up in our head. How do we deal? What's your advice on how do we deal with trauma? Everyday life. Talk to me.
I think the first step is to recognize that it's there. Recognize we have it. Nobody's above it. All of us got some bullshit we're carrying. No matter how privileged and fancy you grew up, there's something that you carry in here that maybe is unspeakable, maybe only a few of us know. And so once you recognize it, then that's the first step. Second is, and this is part of what we do in our workshops, second is to share it, maybe even recognize it in someone else that I'm pretty certain hasn't failed yet. There's somebody out there in this wide world who has been or is going through something like you. And I think the real, if there's like a word to take away from this, is the concept of vulnerability. That if one can be vulnerable with oneself, knowing what one is feeling, what has gone through. Second, share it with someone else. Like even this conversation with you and me, it's about 10 of us with us here, that having the courage to be vulnerable and say, I'm mourning my grandma's cancer, I'm fearing for my young daughter, I feel inadequate at work, I'm struggling with my husband, I worry about my body, like all the type of shit that that is common to being a human.
Is that a part of healing? Is verbally speaking about it?
Yeah, or writing it, or singing. Like look at like so much of our music is devoted to that type of pain, that type of hurt. Losing a loved one. So getting it out, being able to recognize it first, get it out second, and third, and this is the step that
Third, okay.
I don't know if it's hardest, but it's just like the final stage is being able to celebrate it, honor it, like have it know that you would not be who you are without this pebble in your shoe, with this, pain in your heart, without this wound on your skin. It's easier said than done, no question. But if one can recognize it with all one's blemishes, with all the difficulties, then you're invincible. You have no weaknesses because you've accepted them and loved them as such.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, I agree. You do become invincible because you become invincible off the things people say about you, the things people say to you, how they say it. Like you're cool with who you are. You're content with who you are. You're comfortable with who you are. Correct. That's kind of like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah. We definitely.
And that's the ultimate investment, Jeffrey. If we can love ourselves, despite all the noise, despite all the doubts, despite all the trauma, then who can stop us?
No one. Give us some advice on how we can contribute to our community. But I know everyone's different. But is there something like we all can do maybe? Because I like your answers, man. I like your answers that investing is just putting something for tomorrow. Like making us better. I love that it's not cut and dry like that. Like investments is like money and all that. No, it's so much more. How can we contribute to our communities, us as everyday people, or maybe we're not paying attention too much? Who knows what type of people we are, but how can we contribute? Because maybe our occupation is not that of contributing. Maybe we're not in service, right? So how can we genuinely contribute?
So I think there are bigger and small ways. One that just comes to mind very easily, and it doesn't have to be with humans, frankly. It just came to mind right now because my love just walked in. She and I volunteer with horses, abandoned horses that are in Southern California, left out on riverbeds, or people move away and they leave them out starving. And that's something that you would think like, wow, that's so sweet, Camilo. You're such a hippie with your long hair, playing with horses. Yeah, okay, I see the stereotype. But also working with animals is a win-win. These creatures are defenseless, and you give of your time, your attention to them. And one also benefits. One also feels a connection to another living thing that can't express itself in the same way. But I think the mutuality of that has been special. Other obvious one, and I see it with my grandma. As I mentioned, she has cancer. But what I often feel is most difficult for her is her depression. It's her feeling that she cannot be the same powerful woman she has always been. She's lived half her life in Colombia, half her life here. She's 91 now. I can't tell anyone, but she just scraped the side of her car on the church she went to this morning. She told me because there was no way she could have hit it. She doesn't want to tell my mom. She loses her ability to drive. It's like losing part of her soul. She's very independent. But I see so many old people at the oncologist's office, at her therapy office, on their own. And I know this country struggles with really taking care of its elders. Everyone's so damn busy. So many retirement homes, senior centers, we kind of cast them out. That's something very different that I think in the Haitian community, the Latin American community, we keep our elders close. Yeah. They're either living in a home or somewhere nearby. We share a meal with them. Volunteering then at a senior center or looking out for the neighbors in your neighborhood. I know South Florida, there's a strong retirement community. And I will say the last, maybe the third suggestion of how you can invest or give back is find a mentee somewhere. It doesn't have to be something official where you're signing documents, but I really like sports, for example.
Okay.
And wherever I can, I'll go. If I can bring someone that I know, usually I buy 2 tickets, and I'll invite some kid who's outside. Obviously, like it's as a man, you gotta be careful who you're inviting to go with you to the game, like from the street. I mean, that's you gotta be some wisdom there, but I think most people appreciate the opportunity to connect, ideally with a stranger. We just talked about those workshops and vulnerability. Like if you kind of show your cards first, if you are gentle or vulnerable with somebody first, they almost always, man, will
Open up.
reciprocate.
Reciprocate.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, well, ooh, yeah, I love the different perspective, because you know what? In these let me tell you something, Camilo. These conversations need to be held because they're not being spoken of as much. And when we hold these conversations, we see so many different perspectives on life, and there's so much going on. Listen, Donna Green, put you up there. My friend, right? Answer this. Give you. I want you to speak to her on this behalf. You know, say something, because she decided to share this on a live. You know, being that we're having this conversation, but with you here. So she said, these you can read. She said, I lost my mom, 2 sisters, 1 brother-in-law, 1 sister-in-law, uncles in a 3.5-year time frame. Also, I've had 7 surgeries as well during this time. I've been overwhelmed mentally and physically. Also, she also said I had to do therapy, also get therapy for my 3 boys, because losing all my loved ones, and I have to be strong for my boys, nieces, and nephews. I told you, man, it's a conversation we not having, man. I'm telling you. Speak to her, though, Camilo.
Donna, thank you for sharing, sister. And I'm sorry. Words typically don't help in these cases, but the fact that you're here listening with us is already an important step. And that you can share that, you know, that's heartbreaking. 3.5 years of a lot of loss. And I think that's the first step that we talked about just now, is recognizing that you're carrying that and not being afraid or ashamed of sharing it with others, including, I mean, I'm a stranger to you. So I think that shows your courage. That shows that you're on the quest for peace. And I think those young men and women that you said are looking out for you, or are looking at you to stay strong. I think you're doing it. You're showing it. I would encourage you not to shy away from also showing a little bit of that difficulty, to show that tender side. I know certainly from my perspective, I thought that my grandma and mom had no feelings, that they were just super poderosas, that they were just going to keep pushing along because they never showed poderosas, that they were just going to keep pushing along because they never showed sentiment. Maybe I saw my mom cry once when she had probably her biggest fight with my dad, who was then living at home when I was a kid. Otherwise, never saw it. My grandma, maybe if a pet passed away, but otherwise, now as we talk about deeper things and I know about their lives, I realize there's a lot they were carrying. I probably would have been a little less of a dick when I was a young man if I saw that feeling is okay, emotion is okay. I cry pretty often now, believe it or not, which is a new thing in the past 2 years. Just if I feel something, it's okay, and show that emotion. So Donna, I think you're on the right step. The fact you even have a therapist, that's
yes, good look. Yeah, right.
That's something that's still stigmatized. Still, yeah, it's still stigmatized in our community. It's getting better. Like I know my own therapy, couples therapy. I'm trying to get my family to do therapy together. And it's not that the therapist is going to solve anything. They don't have some magic wand, but it gives a safe space. It removes you from that kind of antagonistic, that pressure, and has you decompress and realize that a lot of these issues come from a place of unresolved love. Like you don't know where to place it. Like you hold on to some grudge. Like the opposite of hate, the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. So as long as you have some feelings that you want to work out with and want to persist, I mean, that's really the name of the game. If you feel cold, shut off, and you can't really get in touch with your feelings, I mean, I'd be more worried then.
Ooh.
So Donna, you know, I don't know you, but I love you, and I'm sure those of us that are on this Instagram live can be resources to you if you wish to reach out. Certainly, I can. My info is somewhere on this little screen.
It's this there. I want everybody to throw some hearts out right now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna throw some hearts out. Please type in some hearts right there, just to show the love, right? Just to show the love, right? Because we got some love. We got a lot of love. Camilo, is it talk to me about, is it kind of a true statement when they say things are healed over time, right? It sounds true, but doesn't things have to be done during that time frame in order for that to be true? What do you think? I'm just asking.
Time does heal.
Right?
I think, like, say, a heartbreak or, oh shit, what'd I do?
You're in love now, man. You're in love, La La Land. You're in love land now. Leave it just like that. I'm gonna take a screenshot. From this one. You can't run from this one. Don't touch nothing else. Back up. Go ahead, we listening. Hey, y'all take screenshots of this here, man. Yes, sir. Oh, I take screenshots. You just into La La Land. No, but that's the love. Is that a love? That's the love we got for everybody. For
yes, Don, sir,
everybody else on here, man. It'd be funny if you start talking different too. Just start.
Yeah. Mr. Look, I put makeup on too.
You're it, man. You're it.
As long as the time that you're taking is not you withdrawing or procrastinating, not addressing. Like, there's something like, what can I tell you more? Like my uncle, he's the man who raised my mom. He's my grandma's youngest brother. He's the only other tall person in my family. I always looked up to him, literally, but eventually I grew taller, but just the kind of very serene soul with beautiful hands. I always remember his hands.
Wow.
And he passed away, it's going to be 6 years ago in December. I haven't mourned him yet. I haven't cried. I haven't felt like I gave the eulogy at his funeral. I've carried his ashes when the family moved from one state to another. Did time help? I guess. I don't miss him the same way, but I don't think I've addressed it. I mean, that's one example. I'm sure I could think of like past girlfriends or pets who have passed or disappointments in work but yeah, time does heal, but as long as you're not delaying it or putting it aside, it's.
Yes.
I'll give you a brief answer so you can ask me more questions.
No! Oh, you changed it? No, man, you boring now. Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, you fun now. You fun. Hey, so listen, we had a terrible death, man. We had I want to get your opinion on it. I want to get your opinion on it, right? Because so this I don't want to give him a title because he's done so much, but he passed away, right? And all of a lot of Haitians are mourning, but what happened was, he had a heart attack. But in that having a heart attack, I don't know, it's maybe brought more awareness of death can happen to good people, or maybe it's to other people, it scares some people, like, hey, maybe I need to get my health right. What's your assessment on it all? Like, I don't know. For me, it's like when I look at it, it's like it happens more so than we hear about it, and it's very unfortunate. Left behind all the people, but we just have to keep living on, right? We just have to keep living on. But how do we deal with that emotionally? Should we, that's the question.
I think grieving loss, particularly when you can't explain it when it seems so like what a
Right.
shame, what a waste. There's no real solution. It's just recognizing like, damn, this could be it. There is only this. You know, I could live to be. He was young, this guy. I could live to be 91 like my grandma. I could live to be the age I am right now. You know, today I had a flight this morning that for reasons of TSA I missed. It's okay. I probably would have had to really hustle to get onto this Instagram live. It worked out fine.
Wow.
But
Wow. Wow.
and I'm sure nothing will happen to this plane. But I thought on the drive back, like that's sometimes how those things happen. Like, oh, a plane that you should have been on crashes, or a car accident that happened moments before or after you drive through the intersection. I mean, it's a crapshoot. All we got to do to die is to be alive. You know, ideally, it's a peaceful, glorious life that then ends with you in your sleep, and you know, people come and they throw roses or they do Instagram hearts on your soul, and that's it. And you go to heaven. You know, but happily ever afters don't happen quite that easily.
Right.
So I think COVID, maybe this is maybe the best answer I can give you. During COVID, when so many people got sick, passed away, you thought, but they look so healthy. They had
Right.
some pre-conditions, some underlying symptoms. And you think like, we better make the most of this damn chance we have. Because, I mean, if it could be any moment, you know, it seems kind of morbid to think like that, like I could die any second. But when you do, and I've always felt I was going to die young, since I was probably because of the work I've been doing in Colombia, and like
Seeing
I
so
was
much.
never personally threatened with a gun or any like, but you know, people that I know were simply not around anymore because you know they were outspoken because that's the risk of doing the work that they were doing. I was a little more insulated because I have a U.S. passport, dual citizen, those types of things. But death is everywhere. It's not a bad thing. It's an essential thing. Imagine if we lived forever, how boring life could be. There's no sense of finality, no sense of closure, you know? So the years we have, the time we have, we should try to fill it as intentionally, as joyously as possible. Easier said than done, of course. You know, like how do you tell Donna Green that when you're mourning so much family in 3.5 years? Well, in that sense, the only way to get through it is to go through it. You know, there's no way to avoid it or jump it or dodge it. It's just by living it.
So deep, so deep. So how can we contribute to your organization? How can we? That's what I want to leave with. I want to leave with that. How can we contribute, Camilo? Because you know you left an everlasting impression. I love these cons. I love. Look, I can't even. I might as well just make new words while I'm speaking. But I love these conversations because they're so less trotted on. People like don't want to speak about it. Oh, it's it's boring. It's dead. Man, we need to have these conversations, and who else better to have with someone who deals with the youth, someone who's seen it all, someone who deals with trauma. You know, I love it, and we appreciate you. But you are not to be forgotten, right? So, how can we contribute to your organization?
Well, I think true to my answers before, the human resource is very important. So if anybody wants to volunteer, help, particularly like if you want to share your story for a children's book, if you want to help co-host a workshop in the near future, no matter where you are, in Florida or elsewhere, that's a very easy lift. If you want to contribute economically, our webpage, regeneracion.co, has a little fund or donate button in the upper right-hand corner. There's a picture of me there trying to talk all smooth to have you all donate for our campaign.
That was you on that? Oh, yes, we see you.
If it looks convincing and you trust me, then of course we would never say no to that financial love. And even if you have ideas of how to collaborate, you know, if you're doing your own good stuff, like I appreciate BB and Jeffrey reaching out to make this happen. I think that's a great contribution. I hope that it can happen again in the future.
Yes, we definitely in the works. BB not gonna let you go for nothing. She just loves you. Can you just type in your info for us right there, Camilo, so we can have it before this is over. Type it in so if we're gonna have it. If you want to contribute, I mean, if you want to push on your website as well, Camilo, every type of information you have, so we can get in contact with you and definitely contribute. We love the hearts. We love the colorful rays coming from your head. I mean, we love everything you got going on. We just love it. We love it. So definitely leave your info there. Like and subscribe. Listen, I said like and subscribe. Listen, like and follow. Tap that notification bell that's on the upper right-hand corner. Tap the notification bell so anything he drops, you'll be notified. Where are you located? Donna, y'all got, listen. If you need, Donna, I know you got a therapist already. You need someone to speak to. Camilo, tell her where to reach you at. Definitely, everyone. If y'all need someone who speak, this type of thing, Camilo deals with each and every day. And he contributes his life to that, and it's been around the block many times. So get in contact with him. If you just need someone to talk to, if you need some guidance, if you need some direction, if you're feeling low, holler at him, call him, for real. No, really. And we thank you. So leave us with some last, I mean, you said so many nuggets on us, but leave us with something that we need and that we can go by. Maybe something we never heard from anyone else or anything like that. Some nuggets, Camilo.
What can I say? Yesterday, I sent it to Jeffrey. Feel free to share it if you want. There's a women's soccer team here in Southern California called Angel City. It's a brand new team. And they came to do a feature on my grandma and me. They found out about the story of me growing out my hair for cancer treatment and of how we've been a tag team for many years. And it finally came out yesterday. It's such pretty photos. My grandma looked so happy, so joyful. You wouldn't know she was struggling with depression and cancer and all that. And I think we often are trapped thinking that we need to do more, that there's something more out there, that constantly looking for the next thing. And I think particularly these last 2 years, COVID and cancer and, relationships, working through love has taught me that a lot of the answers are right within us. That maybe looking inward, maybe journaling, maybe having alone moments like near the water or with your pets or with your wife, with your kids. In that stillness, there is often the answers. I'm certainly guilty of this. I'm often traveling or moving on to the next thing or, curious for what's beyond. I think we end up being very tired and overlooking things that have been there all along. So I think with the spirit of this live that we did together, I think looking around you and being grateful for what we have. It may not be everything we wanted. We maybe think we could do better, want more. That's okay. That's that hustle trying to express itself. But if there is nothing more, also feeling that what we have, who we are, just like those blemishes we talked about, that it's good enough. I think there's something divine about that, feeling that sense of okay with oneself. You don't have to be any better or any worse. It's just as it is.
Love it.
Maybe too existential, but
no,
that's something that rings true for me.
It's on point. It's on point. Just go to that space. That space of. I'm not gonna follow up on what you said. You said I love it. Listen, we love you, Camilo. We'll follow you. We hope that you continue, and we pray that you continue to contribute in a beautiful way that you're doing. We love everyone. I know you love everyone too. Listen, man, we hope and wish you the best always. Thank you for coming up on this live and just sharing with us. Time went by so fast with you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And I thank you, man. I thank you so much. I know everyone thanks you as well. All right.
I got someone for you for the next call, in case you want more folks for your shows. I can invite Adela to join your next one.
Hi. You know you had to show some people off. How you doing? Where's
She's
grandma?
all,
Where's
she's
grandma?
all about. She's back cleaning. I wish actually, you know
Oh
what?
my goodness.
Mention that. Hold on. Let me
You
get
can't
it.
tell her nothing. You can't tell her nothing. You can't. You can't. Listen, I seen her throwing up a gang sign. Hi, Mom. Hi. Hold up. Maybe she see me with the same things you have. What them hearts at? Maybe she see me with this here. Hi, Mom. Hola.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know who you are, but anyway. Bye.
Mom. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
So much love, man. Grandma. Love. Yeah. So when my beard get long enough, I'ma let it lay down like your hair. I'm gonna let it lay down like your hair. You go the first one who's gonna see it. You go the first one who get to see it, okay?
All right, brother. I appreciate that, man.
All right, man. Take care, man.
And love to you, love to BB, and to the family, and thank you all for inviting me and for having us.
Continue to doing what you're doing, man. Thank you so much, Camilo. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.